Alua Arthur is here in the studio. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I have to tell you about this book. Number one, I met you at a women's luncheon Diane von Furstenberg heard. Diane von Furstenberg had to bring women together, and you got up and spoke, and I went from ooh to that to wow. It made me rethink so many things, Alua. Number one, and then I got your book, and I really started thinking about things so very differently. You said death is one of the most intimate acts that we will ever go through, and we will all go through it. But at the end of life, there are three questions we should ask ourselves. What are they?
Who have I loved? How have I loved? And was I loved?
And was I loved?
Absolutely.
Now, this came about for you, a death doula. You're on a bus ride with a woman, Jessica, who you didn't know. Turns out she has terminal cancer. And you start asking her questions that she said, you're just sitting there talking. You start asking her questions about her life that nobody had asked her. What did you ask her that made her start thinking about her own life and death?
Well, I asked her what was still undone in her life. Yeah. If this disease that she had would have killed her, what was still left on the table for her? What had she wanted to do that she hadn't yet done? I also asked her to look at herself on the deathbed and see what she saw and how she felt about that person that was laying there. And through those questions, it started to create space for her to think about what she still wanted out of life, the life that she had versus the one that she wanted, and what that gap was and how to go about filling it in the time that she had remaining. It was a really rich time for us to start thinking about using our mortality as a lens through which to view our lives.
And you're talking to a stranger.
A stranger.
I think I agree completely with the premise of the book.
Yes.
I think I asked you earlier, what's the ideal age for somebody off camera, to read this book? And you said the ideal age is now.
Right now.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. Everybody can benefit from it. And there's some great pieces of advice here, like finding your feet. Talk to me about that.
It's a practice that I use with clients and oftentimes caregivers when they are anticipatorily grieving, meaning that they are way in the future about the death that's going to occur and they're having a lot of feelings about it. The practice just asks us to find our feet. Where are they? The body is always right here. The body is right here, and generally right here we are safe. When the mind is traveling, when we're in the future, when we're in the past, when there's anxiety and worry, by finding our feet, by cultivating a practice of presence, we can encourage ourselves to be present with this moment, to be intimate with this moment.
One of the things I love about the book is you talk about grappling with mortality and what that teaches us. There's this notion, there's an ancient notion that believes that keeping death in your mind at all times is a way to live a more full life. You describe a client, Jordan, where you explain that lesson to Jordan. Tell me about it.
Jordan was a client who was really grappling with a lot of death anxiety and fear around his dying. And he asked me to come do a death meditation with him, which turned out to be really supportive for him because we determined in that death meditation that he was afraid of living. Oftentimes...
Afraid of living.
Afraid of life. A fear of death often means that there's a fear of life, that we're stopping ourselves from doing things in our life because we're so afraid to die. And going through that death meditation allowed us to think through what his fears were. Most of us carry a fear of death, and we can learn from it if we choose to look at it. And what we learned with Jordan was that he wanted to step fully into his life and hadn't yet had the opportunity to do so.
But briefly, what makes you a death doula? Because you're a lawyer by training.
Yeah.
Why should anybody come and listen to what you have to say in less than 30 seconds? Because I think, you had an experience in your own family. But what makes you a good death doula?
Most of us are going to serve as a death doula at some point in our lives because people that we love are going to die and we're going to support them. But having a personal relationship with death, being comfortable in emotional depth, somebody who has spent some time thinking about their lives and what they want out of it makes a really good death doula. But most of us will do it anyway.
Or someone who just tells people, for life's sake, don't die with a freezer full of bananas. Make the banana bread.
Yes, and eat the cake. I love it. I love it. You hope death feels like riding a glitter wave. Me too.
Alua Arthur, thank you very much. Briefly, Perfectly Human goes on sale tomorrow.